Okay, good morning, everybody. Welcome to day 2, The Future is Now with GSG. Our session is going to be special effects made simple. What we're going to do is we're going to print 4 different special effects techniques, mainly with one screen. 2 of the techniques will be 2 screens. And the first one that we're going to do is going to be the Wilflex Epic High Density Clear 2 through a 250 micron stencil. We're going to print it with a 60-90-60 durometer squeegee. We're running about 10 PSI, just enough to get the ink to fall through the stencil, and a relatively medium print speed. And what it's going to do is, through a print flash print, is we're going to build that 250 micron stencil into a nice high density clear print. We're going to print it on black shirts, no pigment, just the base itself. So after it's cured, goes through the dryer, it's going to give you a really intense gloss, almost a vinyl kind of look on the shelf. A lot on the shirt, I'm sorry. A lot of what we're going to do today is there's sometimes apprehension of people wanting to print special effects because they may need, of course, the different inks or bases, different screen preparation. And what I'm going to try to do today is show you how simple it is. A lot of these work very well by themselves as a one color. You can add them to elements of, your design. If you have a design that's maybe 5-6 colors, and you can add an HD clear to it or a shimmer, it's just going to make the design pop off a little bit more. So we're going to go ahead and preheat our flash. We're going to flash this at 280 degrees for 4 seconds.
Mark, did you mention the mesh count?
No, Darren, that's a very good point. The mesh count, this is going to be an 86 mesh. And the emulsion is the Kiwo thick coat. And the coating method is 2 and 10 to get my 250 microns. So we start out with doing on the substrate side of the screen, 2 coats, and then 10 coats on the inside. And after it's exposed and washed out, it does yield us right around 250, 256 microns. So we're going to go ahead and print our HD. And we're going to be printing this on the new M&R Cobra press. And if you can see with the camera, we are moving relatively quick across the screen, and we're right at about 15 PSI. So not much pressure at all. We just want to, drop the ink down through the stencil, and our off contact is set at a point of 4. So we do want a higher off contact. That way we're not crushing the ink into the screen or into the shirt. We're just laying it right on top. So for time's sake, I'm just going to run 6 of these. And then we'll go ahead and put it through the dryer. We'll show you the before and after, before it goes to the dryer, and what it looks like when it comes out. So this is going to be our print before it goes through the dryer. You can see, as we zoom in on it, we have, some definite height to the print, and it kind of has a milky look to it right now. So through the magic of video, we ran a couple through the dryer earlier, so we're not waiting on the retention time. So this is what the shirt ends up looking like with the high density clear. Really nice gloss. Like I said, no pigment, so it's picking up the black of the shirt, and it gives you a really nice tone on tone look. And again, it could be, you could tint it if you're, doing it on a red shirt, if you want to tint it with some red ink or pigment, any color you want. If you want to do it with white to give you a really nice high density gloss white, it's limitless what you can do. You can print it through higher stencils. You can do multiple flash print applications to get it even higher off of the shirt. But it's just one of those things. It's simple, it's easy, and it gives you an outstanding looking shirt. So now that we did the high density clear, and we went ahead and have 6 more shirts on the press that we printed the high density just like we saw, we're gonna run these around and give them a flash one more time. And for our second technique, we're going to take this high density clear that we just printed, and we're going to print Crystalline Shimmer on top of it. Since it's going to be on the black shirt, the Crystallina is going to appear to be a little bronze or more gold than it would be if you print it on a light garment and you got the reds and the greens that come out of it. So it gives us a kind of burnished metal type print. The Crystallina is going to go through an 83 mesh screen with a standard stencil with a 2-in-2 coating. So we have about 15% EOM. We are going to print the Crystallina with a 70 durometer squeegee. It's going to be a single print stroke. And since it's going on top of the HD is higher off the shirt, we have to set our off contact at 4, equivalent to the HD screen. And the PSI that we're going to run on it is just 5 pounds of pressure. So no pressure at all, a fast print stroke, and just lay that shimmer right on top. Okay, now that these are flashed, they're just dry to the touch, a little bit tacky, but not enough to stick to the bottom of the screen. We're going to go ahead and put our Crystallina on the top of this. And our production speed is going to be 49 dozen an hour. So printing specialty doesn't necessarily allude to a slower speed. And it's going to print, just like a normal, print would go. And the speed is really going to be determined by your flash time. Now with the thicker ink film, you're going to have a little bit longer flash, right about 4.5 seconds. So this comes over to the unload station. Go ahead. And this is what it's going to look like before it goes through the dryer. So you can see it's picking up the gold and a little bit of the silver out of the Crystallina.
It looks fantastic, Mark.
Thanks, Darren. And also, this is going to be normal 320 degree cure temperature. And on our dryer here, we have about a 45-second retention time. So you can see what the difference is going to be. The last garment, we just printed the Crystallina on its own.
Hey, Mark, Mr.
Yeah,
Mr. Joseph Garcia has a question.
Go ahead.
He said, "It looks amazing. Is that the new M&R Cobra press?"
Yes, it is, Joe. It is the new M&R Cobra, and it is the 8-color 10 station. And I don't know how you guys can hear it as we're running these, but this machine prints basically quiet compared to some of the pneumatic machines or ones that actually have lift cylinders to raise the pallets. On the new Cobra, the print heads actually come down, similar to the Gauntlet 3 or the Challenger 3 in the Strikers. So this is going to be the Crystallina on its own on black. So you can see on the black, it's going to pick up the golds and the bronze kind of tones to it. Then our next shirt, this is going to be the Crystallina printed on top of the high density clear. So you have a lot of sheen, a lot of color changing. It's almost kind of like a hologram in a way. And it's just something to make the shirt stand out. You can see it from a distance. Our LED lights here really give a good cast on it. But like out in the sun, it's almost blinding. But it's a fantastic look. It's really, really simple to do. 2 screens and you're done.
Hey, Mark, can you compare them side by side? The one without the HD clear and the one with?
I only have 2 hands, so let's see how let's see how I can hold these. For you, Darren, whatever you need, man. Okay. Let me get the camera on it.
There we go.
So this one is going to be the high density clear, and this is the straight Crystallina. So you can see on top of the clear, it really makes it pop.
There's a significant difference there.
Yeah.
Mr. Kelly Burns has a question for you, Mark.
Sure.
What are the other flash settings at 4 to 4.5 seconds?
Yeah, that's why I'm glad I have you guys here, because I'll get on talking and forget to mention maybe a few things. The flash settings on a Red Chili D quartz flash, we're at 4.5 seconds, and our flash is set at 280 degrees at 90% power. The reason I keep it at 90% power tends to be when you're at 100% power, the flash will kind of, max out and want to drop down. Whereas as you're going through your print run, you don't necessarily ever have to change your flash time, change the power percentage, and the flash will just stay on consistently. So if I was to run maybe 1,200 of these, maybe about 8-9 dozen in, and the pallets are up to temperature, I'm going to drop that power down to about 70%, and my flash won't be turning off and on. It'll stay consistent throughout the run. Is that what you needed, Kelly?
I believe that answered his question.
Okay.
Mr. Joe Garcia has one more question. He said, you may have already covered this, but for the high density clear, coated differently than the normal screen?
Yeah, this screen was coated with the Kiwa thick coat emulsion at 2 coats and 10 coats. The 2 coats being on the substrate garment side of the screen, and the 10 coats being on the inside of the screen, dried with the substrate side down. So my emulsion kind of leveled out, and it yielded us, when we measured it, actually 256 microns. And you can also achieve it with using film. You can get the thicker film that Ulano and that we sell, that you can already buy in 50, 100, 200, 250 micron sheets. I just prefer the thick coat emulsion because I find it's a little easier to work with. And I can control exactly what I want to do with it. And another great thing about the thick coat is when you're printing, we're going to do glitter shortly. When you're printing glitter and you're going through a 40 mesh, the thick coat, you can do a 1-in-1 coat with it, and it fills all the holes perfectly. Another advantage to the thick coat emulsion is when you're doing 250, 400 microns, your exposure time isn't as greatly increased as if you would use a film. So, for example, this 250 microns on our M&R Starlight LED unit, I'm only at 30 seconds to expose the screen. So that's a really great advantage to it. Okay, so we got the first 2 done, and we have 2 more to go, and hopefully a lot more questions to fill this session up. But what I'd like to, everybody that's in the session now, if you go into the chat and send a chat with the hashtag GoGSG, I'm going to pick somebody at the end of the session, and we're going to send you a pair of iPhone earbuds. So, little incentive to be here today. So go ahead, and again, like I said, hashtag GoGSG. We'll know you want to get into that, and we'll send them out to you.
Hey, Mark, and I just realized we have a
Sure.
poll question during this session as well.
I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah. So what type of specialty applications would you like to know more about is the question. And there's 5 multiple choice answers there. So just wanted to remind everybody to go take that poll.
Yeah, absolutely. And myself, and of course, Darren, we can answer any of those questions and put you in the right direction. Another way to find out about the specialties is go to our YouTube channel at Graphic Solutions Group. We have dozens right now of special effects, printing techniques that I've been doing. Some of them are 1 color, some are 3, some may be a 5-color design. But, it's a 2-minute, 2.5-minute video, and it goes over, from A to Z, the press setup and how you want to run it. We also have on there, creating the stencils, coating the screens, as far as like mixing the glitter, and mixing the other colors. So, it's a really good place for more information. So I'm going to go ahead and preload the shirts for the next one. And Darren, just let me know if questions pop up, and we'll go ahead and get those answered.
Mr. Harry Crawl has a question.
Okay.
His question is, if using capillary film, will a coat of emulsion on the inside of the screen give more durability for longer runs?
That's a great question, and also a great subject to debate depending who you ask in the industry. For years that I used the capillary film, they showed you how to apply it by using water, and we've applied it with water. But then what Harry just asked, yes, we've gone back while it was still wet and face coated the inside of the screen. And we found doing long production runs, if we coated the emulsion on the inside of the screen, yes, it made that stencil a lot more durable, and we wouldn't run into any type of issue with capillary film, especially with using a pressure washer, of blowing that film off. So that is one thing I would suggest to do. You know, maybe if you're doing shorter runs, not necessarily, but you know, during a long run, anything to avoid, you know, stencil breakdown or anything on press that you can do is only going to help out. This next one we're going to do is actually one of my favorite bases and one of the most versatile. And I would really suggest to people, if you get into doing special effects printing in the different bases that are out there, is really, you know, play around with them. One of the big things that we hear constantly is shops don't have time for doing R&D because they're always so busy with production. But, you know, during my career and shops I've ran is, you know, we would go ahead and we'd print all the bases through all the different mesh counts we have just to see what they would do. You know, suede base going through an 86 is going to give you a great feel. You know, it's going to look like suede, feel like it. But printing it through a 305, it gives you a real kind of a chenille feel. So really soft, you know, you're not wearing, you know, like a paper plate on your shirt. So I always tell people, you know, invest the time in R&D. You know, take the time, end of the week, beginning of the week, when there's a press freed up, and put them in there and see what they can do. So this one is going to be the Wilflex Epic Suede base. And we're just going to get our pallets heated up a little bit here, and we'll go ahead and run it. The suede base is going to be pigmented, or the ink we added to it was actually Wilflex Spice Brown. So we took 75% by weight of the Epic Suede base and added 25% of Spice Brown. Now, when you look at the shirt before it goes to the dryer, you know, it's going to be darker. The Spice Brown is going to be what it's supposed to look like. But since suede has a blowing agent in it and kind of puffs up, anything that has a blowing agent or a puff into it is going to lighten when it goes to the dryer. So keep in mind, if you want a true red and you're doing suede, you almost want to print a burgundy or a maroon or a couple of shades darker than what you want to get at the end of the dryer. Then we turned our head on, and the suede is going to be over here in head number 7. And this is through a 110 mesh. It's a 1 and 2 coating with Kiwo Multitex Blue emulsion, so no special emulsion. We're going to use a 60 durometer, a very soft squeegee at about a 20-degree angle. And again, the squeegee pressure is going to be down in that 10-pound range because we're just laying the ink through the shirt, or onto the shirt through the stencil. We don't want to drive it into the garment. I know this is kind of the boring part of the video, waiting for the shirts to come around to that print head.
Hey, Mark, we have a question while we're waiting. Ryan Stigler asks, for an HD screen, he is printing with very low pressure. What is the tension of his screens, and how important is tension in what he's doing?
That's a fantastic question. The tension on this screen is right at about 30 newtons. You want to have a really nice tight screen, and this is actually a rigid aluminum, glue and stretch. But we're right at about 30, 32 newtons. So yeah, the tension is extremely important. You don't want that screen to sag because it's not going to peel off of the print, and you're going to be left with your ink hanging up in the stencil. Now, here's our Epic Suede with Spice Brown before it goes through the dryer. You can see it's flat. Not too exciting, but still pretty good looking shirt on its own. And again, 320-degree cure temperature for these.
Mark, I have a question for you.
Go ahead.
Is the suede base that you're printing now, is there a video on our YouTube channel under one of the specialty videos? Do you remember?
No, there is not yet. It will become. It's in production right now.
Mr. Kelly Burns has a question. What was the suede ink formula again?
It was 75% Wilflex Epic Suede base and 25% of Wilflex Epic Spice Brown. And this right here.
That was through a 110?
Yes, sir. Darren, it was a 110. Now this here is going to be our suede print. So if we can show it on camera, you can see the lift that it has. And I hate to use the word puff, but how it kind of almost puffs up. And it just gives you a really, really nice suede feel. And if we can zoom in on it, you can see the texture. And the lines are crisp. Now, this doesn't have a tremendous amount of small details in it, but there are some. And it holds really good definition. And it's just a really good, looking print.
Looks great, Mark. And you could tell significantly it lightened up quite a bit.
It does. Like I previously mentioned, anytime that you're using anything that puffs or has a blowing agent, the color is going to change. So, for example, if you wanted to achieve a black suede, you can't use your normal ready-for-use inks, for example. Like I put Spice Brown into this. You would have to use the actual pigment concentrates and up your pigment load, because if you just put black in it, when it comes out of the dryer, it's going to be gray. But if you over pigment it, and stay in the manufacturer's recommendation, don't add 20% or anything, because you'll greatly affect the cure. But that's where the R&D comes in, is how do you get a black puff? How do you get a black suede or a black plush? Is using the pigment concentrates and just do a little, lack of other words, trial and error. Sometimes some of the best, special effects techniques have come up with were an accident. We didn't know. We just tried it, came out of the dryer, stood there waiting, and ended up being really, really cool. Anytime you do special effects printing, the number one thing that I stress in my classes and seminars is details. Write it down. Write your formula down. Write your screen mesh, your squeegee, your angle, your speed, your pressure. Because if you have to reproduce it, you don't want to have to wing it and not know how you mix that ink or how it was set up on press. So documentation in special effects printing is the key to success in it. Absolutely. Now, our last one, which I've spent a lot of time the past year and a half, is showing people how to print glitter. I'm sure there's a lot of printers out there print glitter all the time. There's a lot of people that don't. There's a lot of different ways to do it. We're going to be printing the Meadowbrook Rebel Red glitter flake. And as our base that the glitter is in, we're going to use Wilflex Epic Nova base. Nova base is going to be very low viscosity, almost pourable base. And what that's going to do is the base itself is going to kind of absorb into the color below it, into the garment. And it's going to leave what we're going to call a dry glitter on top. So it's not like a particle base or a glitter base that is actually going to suspend the glitter into almost a thin gel and have a plasticky feel. It's going to have a dry glitter feel to it. And to achieve it, this is going to be similar to the first print we did, where this is going to be 2 screens. Our first screen is going to be, since we're doing Rebel Red, we're actually going to be using a red plastisol, which we're going to print down first. And we're going to print that through a 195 mesh. And then our glitter screen is going to go through a 40 mesh. And again, this is going to be coated with the Kiwo Thick Coat Emulsion. So I'm actually just going to move my glitter ink over now. Because of the 40 mesh with sitting here and the viscosity is low, it'll run and it'll actually end up pouring through the screen. And I just got this new floor in our demo room here, and I don't want it to be full of red glitter.
Hey, Mark.
Yeah.
Mike Ortega has a question for you.
Sure.
He said, can you speak to what GSG offers in finished glitter ink, brand and colors?
Well, offhand, I may not be the best person to ask that. Yeah, we do carry finished glitter inks, which is, a good way to go. I prefer to either use the particle base or Nova base and make my own glitter inks. And the reason why, if say, for example, we're printing red with this one, if you have an order for 144 shirts, and you can only get it in a gallon, you're not going to use that whole gallon of ink, and it's going to sit on the shelf for however long until somebody orders red glitter again. Whereas by using the base and the dry glitter particles, you can make just what you need for that job. So you don't have that upfront expense or that inventory sitting on the shelf. So what we're going to do, we're going to print our red down first. Then we're going to print our glitter right on top of it, wet on wet. There's no need to flash it, so your production speeds are a little faster this way. And you don't want to print the glitter direct on the garment. You want to use a corresponding color underneath it. If you're going to use like a blue glitter, you might want to print a royal blue first. Because that way, since you're going through a 40 mesh, if there's any areas that a glitter flake may have missed because of the mesh, that plastisol color below it is going to kind of mask that and give it a really good solid look.
Josh Wally has a question for us, Mark.
Okay. Shoot.
How does this dry glitter stand up to washing?
It passes all the standard wash tests. It holds up perfectly. You would have no issue with it at all. And with printing our glitter, we're going to use a 60, 90, 60 durometer squeegee, also another soft squeegee at right about 10 PSI, because it is so low viscosity, it kind of just goes right through the screen. But no, for Josh, no, absolutely. There's the washability is perfect. You're not really going to lose anything off of the surface, and it's going to give you a nice soft feel also, instead of the kind of rubbery feel that a glitter base might give you. So this is our shirt prior to going through the dryer.
Wow.
So you have really nice, you know, glitter look to it. You can see all the flakes. And with that red being underneath, there's no missed areas at all in the design. So it kind of masks any imperfections there might be.
It looks fantastic. You can really see the sparkle in it through the camera.
That's good. That was one of my worries, if it was really going to show up. And this applies, go ahead.
Matches my hat.
This applies, you know, this technique or print parameter applies to any glitter, you know, silver, gold. If you're doing silver glitter, one little trick to do, or gold glitter, is underneath it, you know, don't put silver or gold ink. Put like silver shimmer or gold shimmer below it, and it just gives you so much more vibrancy, because the shimmer and the glitter are going to be two different size particles, and it adds a little dimension to it.
Mr. Harry Crawl has a question. Is the Nova base better to use than the ready for use glitter, since the glitter seems to have more flakes coming off?
The ready for use glitter, like I said, it's in a higher viscosity, it's in a thicker base, so it gives you kind of a semi-rubbery feel to it. Whereas by using Nova base, or, you know, if you want to go that route and you use like Wolflex Epic particle base or StarTex glitter base, you can adjust the amount of glitter you want into it. The rule of thumb is kind of 20 to 40% glitter load. I have 20% glitter into the Nova base for this one, and it seems to be just enough. But that's, you know, that's up to the customer. It's up to what they're looking for and what they want to, you know, get out of it. And this is going to be our finished shirt right here. So out of the dryer, you can see it really stands up. It's really bright. You know, and even through the 40 mesh, you know, our lines are really nice and crisp. There's nothing filled in. And it does have that dry glitter feel to it. So it's a popular technique. It's, you know, there's a lot of brands, a lot of retail brands that do it. And it's very simple. You know, it's one of those things, you look at something, you wonder how they did it. You know, that's why we're here. We'll show you how to do it. Any other questions, Darren?
I'm not seeing some so far.
Okay.
A lot of compliments, Mark. Nice.
Thank you.
From Josh, Evelyn, nice. Jim Sanzik, it looks fantastic. So lots of compliments there, and easy to do on press, and allows a customer to gain more margin.
Absolutely. And that's something I didn't touch on, and I really kind of stay away from, like, telling people, like, somebody will ask, like, what do I charge for that? I don't know your market. You know, it depends where you are. What's the overhead of running your company? You know, there's definitely an upcharge to this, though. Not necessarily are the inks that more expensive, and we're kind of showing you that there's not that much more different preparation to printing them. But, you know, if your competition down the street can't print it and you can, then you kind of command and control that market, and you can set your price point, you know, to yield that. You know, in my past experience, we've always upcharged. I'm not going to put a dollar or cent value on it, but we've always upcharged for it simply because, you know, some of the shops I ran, we just specialized in special effects printing. For us to get a normal, we'll say flat color job, you know, nobody wanted to print it. They wanted to print the cool stuff. You know, so it's challenging. It's a little engineering in the print, but the key is the R&D and testing. Get these inks on press, see what they can do. Us here at GSG, our sales team, our inside sales team, you know, myself, as well as in partnership with like Lawn Winners for some of our programs, we're here to help the customers out. So, you know, if you're interested, you want to do suede or plush or high density, and, you know, the sales guy has, you know, me to come to. We have this R&D facility here. We have the Screen Printers Playroom. It's just amazing. We can come in and do cool stuff like this all the time. And this event gives us a chance to share it with all of our customers. You know, demos, if we want to do something with FaceTime, you know, or a video chat or a Zoom call, you know, I have the press. We have a shop here. So you can go out on your production floor and show us what you're doing, what you're working on, and we're here to help you out with that.
Okay, so Ryan Stigler has a question. A lot of shops struggle with specialty printing in general. What are some of the things you've most frequently corrected when helping on site or virtually, like you just mentioned?
We have another hour and a half. No, a lot of it is solely misinformation. There's a lot of misinformation out there. You know, regardless of the ink manufacturer, there is a tremendous amount of product information bulletins and tech sheets that, you know, take the time, do the research. If you buy these products through GSG, on our website, you go down, the data sheet is there. It tells you the squeegee, the screen, you know, your mesh count. It tells you how to mix it, what the curing temperature are. Follow those procedures. You know, the time I spent at Wilflex as their applications engineer, we put those together. So it was kind of like a recipe. You know, when you buy, you know, cake mix, you don't empty it all in a bowl, throw the box out, and then figure out how to make it. You know, you save the box, you look at it, and it tells you what to do. The product information bulletins do the exact same thing. Again, you know, myself, the sales guys, we're here to answer those questions. To further answer Ryan's question, a lot of it is preparation. A lot of times screen printing shops are so deep in production and get it in and get it printed and get it out. You need to kind of slow that down and get a little bit more efficient when you're setting the job up. We all forget things, but, you know, what was your off contact? You know, what was your dryer temperature? What was your flash temperature? That's the importance of writing everything down so it can be replicated and duplicated again. You know, it's just, we kind of like exist in a fast-paced production environment. And sometimes you just need to slow it down a little bit and make sure you follow all the steps to do it correctly. Hopefully that answers your question, because there's so many questions about, you know, what can go wrong and how to fix it and how to make it right.
Awesome.
But we're at right at about 45 minutes, the end of our session. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I had fun doing this. You get to see what I do every day. I always get jokes from people that say, hey man, you're like, you don't really work. Yeah, I work. It's just a lot of fun. So again, go to Graphic Solutions Group's YouTube site for more information. Follow our Tip Tuesdays, our White Ink Wednesdays. Follow us on Instagram and Facebook. We have all this stuff out there. It's there, and heck, it's free. So take advantage of it. And thank you everybody again. And Darren, it was great, and everybody else. I really appreciate it.